would you rather have McCaffrey and Barkley and no picks until round 7?
Oh.
Or would you rather have the 1.07 draft slot as normal?
Wow. All right, so
get ready for that segment and a whole hour of Mike Wright from the Fantasy Footballers. Top 5 running back. You're watching the Fantasy Football Show. Take a lap. Okay, I'm joined by Mike Wright from the Fantasy Footballers. You guys all know who this man is. Mike, so glad to have you on the show, man. You guys are an inspiration for everybody in the fantasy industry, so I definitely appreciate you coming on.
Oh, man, I appreciate the kind words. Happy to jump on here. We're all sitting around doing a whole lot of nothing, so might as well talk about football.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're having football.
Yeah, and that's one of the questions I have, but let's dive into that first because I think that's a good topic. People are like itching to know, does anybody have any inside information? What do the so-called experts think about a potential delay or no season? What, if you had to guess, what would be the percentage that we have a season? Let's start with that question.
That percentage has jumped up and down basically on a daily basis right now. But honestly, I'm far more in the positive realm now, where I would put the odds at 85% that it happens. I mean, we have the Major League Baseball news was fantastic because if MLB is figuring it out where whatever they're having to modify the season, but they're going to get the season in with all this news that they're going to do everything in Arizona, have guys like quarantine in a hotel. If they can figure something out, the NFL will say, we're not throwing this money away. Right. We will figure it out. And on top of that, I mean, you have the players where, yeah, it sounds like a really crappy situation. If you're the players where if you have to actually go spend an entire season quarantined like in one location. But on the other hand, these guys have, I mean, most guys have 2 years maximum in the actual NFL, and their window is so short that they can't throw that away. So I mean, that's why the new collective bargaining agreement got agreed upon, because the guys were making the lowest amount of money. They needed that money to go up. So I think that the NFL will figure it out as of now. Why I hedge, because look, the news is changing every single day, and I suppose if the MLB did something and then they had an outbreak where a whole bunch of guys on teams all of a sudden came down with COVID, that would be bad. That would be a bad look. Yeah,
that could somebody else could ruin it for the NFL by doing that. So that's actually a good point. So I've asked this to several people, and I can't get an answer, and I don't expect an answer from anybody because it's unprecedented territory. But we've never been here before. What happens to the contracts and guaranteed money? So an example of a rookie or Kenyan Drake. Let's use Kenyan Drake, our new favorite player, right? Because we're both in Arizona. Right. That's right. Top 5 running back in 2020.
Probably.
Kenyan Drake, 1 year, $8 million. What happens if there's no season? Do they guarantee the money? And then what happens to that contract?
Wow. That's a great question, because off the top of my head, of course, everything just gets moved forward a year. But now that human being is a year older. I mean, they don't have a season of football of wear and tear on their body, but they're older.
Yeah.
So is that player now worth that money? I mean, guys like Kenyan Drake, I guess he's young enough, but that is a really interesting thing to think about. What does a team do with a aging veteran? Or are they still worth that amount of money next year?
Like Tom Brady, Julio Jones, right. Guys that are like on the fringe of getting to that.
Yeah.
Brady's already read about.
Yeah, Brady's broken the age curve, so he doesn't really count.
But he'll be 44 if we postpone a year? 44 or 43?
Yeah.
That
wild.
Yeah. So I'm curious to know if anybody can find the answer to that. Like, does the NFL have to pay these same amounts, but everything gets paused? So Kenyan Drake will get $8 million, but then he'll get another $8 million for 1 year. That's kind of what I'm thinking might happen, but it's crazy to think about. And the other part that blows my mind is that if we don't have an NFL season, we'll have 2 rookie classes essentially.
Right.
And what does that do for a guy like ETN who holds out and doesn't enter the NFL, but literally enters the NFL at the same time as the 2020 rookies? So, man,
that's going to be tough. That's a really tough situation where, and like when you're talking about the rookies, I put the odds at the NFL happening far greater than college football. Like college football is actually in danger to me. I mean, the NFL does have some danger, but college is a much larger risk because you can't just take grown adults who are working for someone and say, guess what, you're over in this area now, you don't get to move. Like college football has their students, their student athletes. I mean, you can't just say, okay, well, we'll play the game in empty fields, or with no fans, and there's just so many other problems. So
there's more moving parts too. You have how many different stadiums, how many different personnel groups. NFL, at least there's a focused number that they can try and worry about. Yeah, at college, I don't know what we're going to do.
I haven't even thought about that until you brought that up. Like, what does next year's rookie class do if they lose an entire season? Oh, man.
I know. Like, my first thought was, what if they combine the 2 class, but they're having the NFL draft on the 23rd, so they can't do that.
Yeah, they can't do that.
That was going through my mind. I'm like, a lot of things have been going through my mind. Being quarantined has been messing with me. And I told you right before we started this show that I'm kind of a germaphobe to begin with, so this thing set me back 10 years at least. I won't be elbow bumping. Oh man, it's going to be bad. But I'm a quarantine individual by nature, so I'm doing okay.
Yeah, I'm like you. I'm an introvert. The only thing I miss is I like to not have to cook, so I really like eating out or getting takeout, things like that. So the struggle is real for that area. But so we've talked about this. I don't know which pod I was on where we were talking about it, but is it time that we can finally implement the Japanese bow? Like, it's a cool move, man. It's a really strong sign of respect. Mm-hmm. No one's exchanging germs. They haven't figured out. I mean, they've known this for years, but we are stuck in our stupid American ways of me transferring my DNA and my germs onto your hand. That's the best way for us to say hello.
Yeah.
Like, let's get the bow going, man.
I'm all for it, man. I would definitely embrace the bow. In fact, bow to you, sir.
Yes.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question about the fantasy footballers and what you guys are doing. Are you? I obviously have no plans of joining up as of right now, but what topics or conversations have you guys had about, like, when we may attempt to congregate to do a show, or are we going to continue online until further notice? And how has it affected you guys? I'm sure a lot of people want to know, what are you guys planning? What are you doing? How's it working for you?
So we are definitely on an definitely indefinite. That's a ridiculous statement, but of being outside of the studio. So we're all doing our part. We're all staying home. We're recording remotely. We haven't really talked about yet when we will be back in the studio. We've dreamed about being back there. I mean, it makes things a lot easier. But I assume we will. We'll see if the trends continue the way that they are, which it certainly feels like there's optimism right now. Hopefully, it's not a false sense of security and hope that we're getting right now with the numbers. But we'll listen to what's going on with the state, what Ducey's talking about when things kind of start opening up. We certainly could be still meeting up at the studio because there's the 3 of us and then just a handful of employees, so our actual risk is low. But the consequence of said risk is just too high for us. I mean, like, I'm an at-risk person because I have really bad asthma. Andy has breathing problems, so he's an at-risk person as well. So we're not going to screw around with it. We're not going to screw around with anyone's family. So we've decided to go remote. As far as the challenges, it's really nice recording in a room with other people. I think that was one of the advantages that our show actually had over people. I mean, we started I don't know, 6 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago. But back then, in the fantasy podcast space, it was the CBS guys were together and the ESPN guys were together. And I think basically everybody else, there was a lot of fantasy podcasts going on, but everyone was doing it like this, where you can get a decent conversation going, but there's definitely still problems where, you're not really sure when to stop talking. You're not sure when to start talking, of stepping on people's feet. So the conversation isn't as natural. It will never, ever be as natural as being in a room with two other people where you can take all the physical cues instead of me doing. I got to make it real clear by holding up my finger that I've got a great point, everyone. You need to shut up because it's my turn to talk, instead of just naturally them knowing that I'm about to start talking. So it has created those problems. We do have a nice built-up chemistry of 6 years of feeling each other out. Like I kind of know just instinctually when Jason's going to rant or when Andy's about to say something, and I need to be quiet now. But we've had more moments where we're stepping on each other's toes.
Yeah, that's natural. What about? I have a few ideas for you. What if one of you goes into the studio, because there's going to be no risk, anybody that can do the technical stuff and literally patch in you guys and get that going in that direction? Because it wouldn't be that hard to go in and do that. That might be something if this thing were to linger.
Sure.
Send Jason in, make him do all the work, and just patch you two in with a beach background or whatever.
Sure. It's still, we still have the same technical struggles, and we have a really good system. Our producer, Owl Borland, because we have Brooks and Owl working on production stuff for us, and he's a very tech savvy guy. So him and I work together, because I used to be all the audio for the fantasy footballers. I would handle all the audio and all that stuff, and now I get to hand off most of it and focus more on the other aspects of the job. But he did a fantastic job of putting stuff together where we all have remote kits. We all we join a Zoom meeting so we can see each other while recording, but everyone records locally, and then we send that file over to the producer. He matches everything up, so everything is still the highest fidelity possible.
Nice.
So we've got a decent thing going. I think we can survive like this if need be. It would be fantastic to get back into the same space. There's an energy that you can't create over a screen that you just naturally, it happens when you're in the same room. The
comeback will be amazing.
Triumphant.
What's going to be bad is when you all get in the studio and you don't have anything to say. You're like, what do we do? We have
impossible.
The rhythm is off. Jason, make a joke.
Yes.
Oh man. All right. Well, I appreciate the background on that. I'm sure a lot of people, they love that inside information and what might be going on with you guys, and it'll be nice to see you back. But do you have plans of doing like a regular show every week? Have you already got to that point?
So yeah, we're still going with. Our schedule has been. We're a year-long fantasy show, so we got we're still putting out 2 footballers episodes a week. We put out an episode every single week for the supporters who are on our Patreon over at jointhefoot.com, and then our comedy show, The Spitballers, we're still putting out a weekly episode with that thing. So I mean, we're keeping busy. We're wearing the Zoom meetings into the ground.
Yeah, I feel like I have less time now than I had before, which is so weird, because you'd think, things are slowing down everywhere, but it's just crazy with all the. I hate that I'm now a professor. I don't remember how to teach, and the schools have put so much on the parents. It's insane. Like the calls, the meetings, the emails, the texts. Hey, do this homework assignment by tonight. Like, I don't have time for that. It's been crazy.
Yeah, I'm with you, where I actually have less time to work now because I gotta go relieve the wife, or she'll just have to walk like into the pool and lay in there for 5 hours. I don't know.
Breaking Bad style.
Yes.
Yeah.
Man, it's tough, man. With their 3 kids trapped at home, they can't go out and play with friends and things like that. So and all the school things. You are correct. All the responsibilities for keeping the schooling going. It's tough. So I have to manage the time doing the job and doing all of that stuff too.
Let's get into football.
All right.
Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, a real hot topic, I think, for some people. Do you draft him early? Do you wait on a QB? There's obviously two ways of thinking here. I don't personally think either one's wrong. I think you draft to your strength. There's nothing wrong with taking a Mahomes or a Lamar early. But what is your take on that? Where are you taking them, and who do you like better? Maybe just kind of map that out.
Sure. So I've when I found the late round quarterback drafting philosophy, the first time I was really introduced to it, it was J.J. Zacharyson, who's now one of my good friends in the industry. And I read his ebook, and it was mind-blowing when you start really digging into the actual, the analytics, the statistics of why you can get quarterback production later on in your draft. And it's a different way of thinking about the game. Like, where when you take the quarterback early, I'm going to have the best quarterback. It's thinking more about fantasy football as football, not playing the game of fantasy football. I mean, it's a game based on a game, but it's still very, very different, where it's all just about the numbers. And so for me, and what we always talk about on our show on the Footballers, is it's the late round quarterback. You got to take those shots on running backs and wide receivers early when you do draft. Lamar Jackson, last year was Patrick Mahomes. If you're drafting him in the second or third round, you're giving up a higher probability draft pick that you're going to get a running back or a wide receiver that hits. Now, of course, not every running back or wide receiver drafted in those first few rounds actually become anything. But when you go through the numbers at the end of the year, it's a much higher probability that a running back drafted in round 2 is going to be a weekly producer for your fantasy team. And on top of that, there's no guarantee that a quarterback is actually going to produce. Like, if you drafted Patrick Mahomes in the second round, you didn't get Patrick Mahomes of 2 years ago. So quarterbacks they're not safe or foolproof either. Like, when you look at the earlier quarterbacks that were drafted this year, there's a ton of guys who bust. And meanwhile, you look at the guys you got last year, very, very late. Dak was one of our favorite late round values at the quarterback position. He came through in a way that I couldn't possibly imagine. I mean, the dude threw for almost 5,000 yards. I think he was the quarterback 2. Josh Allen was really, really steady.
Yep.
Kyler Murray. I mean, everyone was kind of on Kyler as a later guy that you could get last year. He comes through because, once again, that's a whole different discussion of quarterbacks. When they run, they just naturally earn more fantasy points based off of how scoring works. So I am all about taking my quarterback as late as possible, while still drafting a guy who I think has upside. And remember, where did people draft Lamar Jackson last year?
And that's the point, and that's the point that I think a lot of people make, which is a great point. And that's the only thing that I don't like is when somebody tells somebody it's an absolute mistake. You can't win doing this, you can't win doing that, because there are so many different ways to win, and everything has to do with your strength. So I agree with everything you said. I agree with the other angle. So for me, I tend to draft better and make better built teams when I do grab that quarterback that is going to potentially throw for 40 or 45, 50 TDs. I think Mahomes, if he doesn't get hurt, his floor is 40. That's like his floor.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
And look back at Kurt Warner, Culpepper. You played, I'm sure, back in those days too. Like, these guys were going in the first round. To me, a late second round pick for Mahomes is actually a value.
Sure. And another reason for why I go with the late round direction is most leagues you're only playing one quarterback, and it's much harder once you're in the season. Is much harder to find a replacement wide receiver or running back, and you have to play at least two of those guys. Yeah. Like, I'm just talking about standard leagues. I know everyone has a different situation, but normally you're playing at least two running backs, at least two wide receivers. And meanwhile, quarterbacks, guys, the amount of quarterbacks who put up a top 12 week, at least one of them, every single year it's over 40 guys because Matt Schaub steps in for Matt Ryan, and he's surrounded by elite weapons, and he's got a good matchup, and you go, Matt Schaub's going to throw for 250, maybe 300 yards here. Yeah. And you can – it's much easier to project and predict when those things are going to happen because he's the quarterback. He touches the ball every single time, unlike a wide receiver who has so many other factors built into can he actually produce. So that's another reason why I like going with the quarterback late. I have no problem if people want to go quarterback early. It's just it's not the way that I look at the game.
Right. And I think that's the key thing is like just doing what works, for each individual person. I personally, I was all about, I'm sure you were too, and a lot of people, about waiting on a QB strategy when it meant getting Kyler Murray around 6 or 7 or maybe 5, but probably 6 or 7 before this DeAndre Hopkins trade. And now he's going in the 3rd round in a lot of mock drafts I'm doing. And it's like, man, that upside just... I still consider them like in certain spots, but not in the 3rd round, and that just kind of put a damper on that whole idea that was cooked up and ready to go for September.
Yes,
because now everyone's reaching high form. Do you think Kyler Murray's going to be able to deliver? I know you don't take a QB early, but if you had to like project whether he could earn 3rd round value, does he have that in the cards with this offense with Hopkins on roster?
Yeah, it was unfortunate and fortunate for DeAndre Hopkins for the trade. First and foremost, we on the Footballers are diehard Arizona Cardinal homers. We love the team. I want them to succeed more than my fantasy squads. Like I love the Arizona Cardinals. So getting Hopkins, that day was incredible. I will live with those memories and cherish those memories for the rest of my life. Unfortunately for fantasy, though, Kyler was already going to be a hot pick and you could have gotten him if the Hopkins trade doesn't happen. You can probably get Kyler in the 7th, maybe 8th round in a decent amount of your drafts. Not anymore.
Nope.
But along with Hopkins coming, it's hard to not see Kyler Murray giving you a top 5 quarterback performance. It's injury, of course, but with the fact of how much he runs, how lethal of a passer he was as a rookie. I mean, he was already a top 12 guy as a rookie,
right?
And not working with an elite wide receiver of DeAndre Hopkins' caliber.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, he had the whole mess of who's the running back. There was a lot of things not in Kyler's favor last year, offensive line problems, and I fully expect the Cardinals to take a tackle with their first pick here in the draft in a couple weeks.
Yep.
Help fix up the offensive line. So yeah, I am definitely on the train that Kyler Murray will be a top 5 guy.
Yeah, but to your point of wanting to wait, you're obviously not going to have any shares of Kyler Murray in 2020.
Unfortunately, probably not.
Yeah, unless it's what about auction? Do you think you could squeeze out
maybe
some strategy there for?
It's certainly possible, but I've always had my greatest success. I buy my quarterback for $1.
Yeah. Who's your favorite dollar way down a QB quarterback in 2020?
Ooh, all right. If you're going to get him for just $1
or somewhere,
Yeah. Let's say like lower dollar amounts.
Yeah.
I would be looking at Matt Ryan.
Okay.
Matt Ryan always puts up the yardage. Unfortunately the year wasn't as good this year, and this is not statistical analysis at all, but we've seen Matt Ryan ping pong back and forth now for 5-6 years.
Yeah.
And it was once again Dirk Cutter came in as the offensive coordinator, even though he had been there before. It's Matt Ryan switching systems. And historically, Matt Ryan's first year with his new OC doesn't go very well, and then he crushes the next year. So I would be very interested in Matt Ryan for cheap. I think that the bounce back, I think Baker Mayfield honestly can bounce back and easily be a top 10 quarterback again. They have done a lot of things to fix that offensive line, which was the biggest problem. And on top of that, the guy calling the plays for them probably should not have been. And then a guy I'm very, very interested in is Daniel Jones.
Love Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones, we got to get those turnovers under control. We got to get him to stop fumbling the ball. But he easily would have smashed the touchdown rookie record if he had played all 16 games. The dude he slings the ball, right? He will take those chances that Eli Manning wasn't taking. And Daniel Jones, the egg was on all of our faces. It was hilarious when they took him in the draft. It was. And they didn't have to. They could have gotten him later, but they went and they got their guy. And then preseason, it was, holy crap! I think Daniel Jones might be good.
Yeah, this is crazy. But much like the what happened to Kyler Murray's value with DeAndre Hopkins landing in Arizona, if the Giants draft Jerry Jeudy or CeeDee Lamb, sure. I'm afraid that Daniel Jones will no longer be one of the best kept secrets at QB. But I agree with you. I think he's top. Like after you get past Russell Wilson and that range, I mean, he's literally, you have like Matt Ryan, you have Dak, you have Daniel Jones. I think he could have a cup of coffee easily with that range of QBs in 2020, and especially if he gets to Jerry Jeudy.
And Stafford, too. I mean, Stafford was absolutely crushing last year before he went down with the back injury. Unfortunately, you do have to factor his back into his draft price. Like you can't just spend a higher pick on Stafford because this is now multiple years that he's had a back problem.
Yeah, and Aaron Rodgers I like a lot too because everyone thinks he's done. They just his ADP has fallen so far, and I think that at that range where you're drafting a Daniel Jones, that's where he seems to be going right now. Now, all it takes is one person. They might still think he's a top 5 or 6 guy, but for me, I if I'm waiting on a QB, and again, I deploy both. I want to make sure I clarify that. I deploy both of those strategies. It just depends on the flow of the draft, but Aaron Rodgers has become one of my favorite. Like I've got him in the 7th, I've got him in the 9th, I've got him in the 10th in mock drafts that I've done with followers. It's crazy. He's fallen super far. Do you think he has the potential to have 1 or 2 years left at 36 years old? He's not 40.
If they get a weapon, I think Aaron Rodgers, like Devontae Adams, is a lock to me to be a top 3 wide receiver. But Aaron Rodgers, in order to get that top tier elite value, I think he needs another guy, and it's not as much as I want it to be Allen Lazard because he's on my dynasty team and we love celebrating the Lazard King. He's not the guy. Devin Funchess is not that guy. They would have to spend a pretty high draft capital pick on one of these wide receivers. Luckily, the draft is littered with very, very talented rookies coming out of college this year. So hopefully they spend like a second on somebody.
Okay. What is your favorite draft approach heading into 2020? Like example would be trading up into the first round, trading down into the second round, or similar to the wait on a QB approach. Like anything that you could give somebody some advantage heading into 2020. Sure.
When people always ask, okay, what's your ideal spot? Where do you want to pick? And we don't know for sure yet, but my answer is always, how many elite running backs are there? Like, is there 4? Is there a big 4 this year? Then I want to pick in the top 4 because I want to have one of those guys. I want a running back that fills 2 positions in one with like Christian McCaffrey. I still fully believe in Alvin Kamara, Saquon and Zeke. They are such a difference-making option for your team when they are scoring the points of 2 players. So that's where I always want to be, if possible. And then if I'm in the back of the first, and let's say I'm in the back of the first and trading is there, then I would actually move back a little bit further down in the second round and try and move some of my other picks up. Like if I'm in the first and I can trade back to the second, meanwhile turning a 4th into another second, that's what I'm going to do because I want as many lotto tickets in that top premium range as possible.
Yeah.
If I can't get one of the elite dual threat running backs.
And I asked this to Matthew Berry and I want to know if your answer is the same. Would you rather have McCaffrey and Barkley and no picks until round 7?
Oh.
Or would you rather have the 1.07 draft slot as normal?
Wow. All right. So I think I would take. Oh my gosh! I think I would take the 2 running backs.
Me too. So did he.
Yeah. I mean, I could fill out my roster. I feel like after the 7th, there's going to be guys in that range that hit, and you're literally betting everything on those two guys.
Yeah.
But if they play 14 games apiece, then you're just going to be destroying people.
Yeah. And the part I love about that, I do a lot of draft pick trading videos and how to trade up, and these types of moves typically make enemies in your league, and no one wants to trade with you after you do these types of things. But if you get handed the 1.2 or 1.1 right out of the gate, then it's really easy to, if the person owning the 1.2 or 1.1, the other pick, isn't like one of those I'll never trade people. But you could literally, in that scenario that I just gave you, offer your 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. I'm not saying to do that, but most people would say I'm not doing that until you hit them from that angle. Well, what about if you had these? But you could probably get away with your 2nd, your 3rd, and your 4th alone to get that pick. And now you have McCaffrey and Barkley and a pick in round 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and you dominate your league. It's one of my favorite. That's my favorite draft approach in 2020, and pretty much every year, as long as there are two monster workhorses, and I think Barkley and McCaffrey are that. And we play in so many leagues, Mike. We can take a risk and do this in one. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if we had one league, maybe we would. I still probably would. But we play in how many do you play in? I played 14. It's getting ridiculous.
Oh, I was up there. I've actually spent the last 2 years trimming them out because I would have these leagues where I couldn't focus on it at all. I was my long running money league where I was in with one of my best friends, and they all know what I do. They all know I'm a fantasy football, quote expert, and I would have finished dead last in that league every time because I didn't have the passion, I didn't have the motivation, I didn't have the my brain was spent by Tuesday when I have to put the waivers in. I'm just like, I don't care. Yeah, I just don't care. So I've trimmed it out. I think I'm down to like my basic, like three to 4 leagues.
I got to get there, but my followers talk me into doing one. And then I'll turn it into a league. The mock draft will turn into a league, and I end up with like 14, 15. But I'm like you. I have so many teams that I have to worry about it on Thursday night. And I don't remember who's on what team. There's no way you can when you have 14 or 15. So I comb through everything Thursday night. Then injuries happen. I'm like, what team is that guy on? I have to comb through them all again before Sunday. And it ends up being where I start a guy like Will Fuller who's not playing. And everyone's like, oh, the expert. And then in your buddy leagues, do you feel like you get no respect in buddy leagues where they're like, oh, Mike's the expert, and they go at you in a different way?
Yeah, it's tough where they're like, I wonder who Mike's going to pick. Let me go look at his rankings.
Yeah, and you're like, great. Yeah. Okay, Brady, Godwin, Evans, all affected, obviously, by not only Winston being removed from that Tampa Bay offense, but Brady being injected into it. What do you think the impact is for Godwin from a fantasy perspective, from Evans, who's going to outscore the other, and what kind of numbers do you predict out of Brady in 2020?
I would say I'll take Godwin. Of the two of them, he just fits so much more with what we have seen for a very, very long time from Tom Brady. And because Godwin's the short guy, the shorter routes. Not that Godwin can't go down the field, but we've seen what Brady prefers to use as of late. Now, maybe that was just a product of he wasn't surrounded by elite field stretchers like Mike Evans is, but still, I got to go with that probability. I'm going to bet on Godwin to be the better of the two, and it's not that I'm leaving Mike Evans for dead at all. I still have Mike Evans. I think we're working on our rankings right now, our way too early rankings. I think I have Evans like 8 or 9. I don't know, right around there, but that's great. That's still a top level wide receiver.
Yeah. He's fallen in mock drafts. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one of those things though where we're at the end of the year. It won't shock anybody if Mike Evans outscores Chris Godwin. Yeah. You just have to play the probability right now. And as far as numbers for Brady, I haven't done any of my full projections yet, but it would be. I think Brady should be at that right around 30 touchdowns, 40 42 to 4,300 yards. I think he can still hit that point. But I am very fascinated to watch this Tom Brady versus Bill Belichick thing.
Yeah,
I am on the side.
Chicken or egg?
Yes, and I kind of have the Bill Belichick side. I mean, it's obviously the sample is so small, but the fact that years ago Tom Brady can go down, 7th round draft pick Brian Hoyer can come in, and they should have won the division. Like they had double digit wins. That was just the one year where Miami beat them out in the division, but Hoyer came in.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, not Hoyer. Castle. Castle came in.
Castle, yeah.
And put up great numbers, won a whole bunch of games. Like that doesn't happen. Look at other teams when they lose their quarterback and a guy comes in. The team they don't keep trucking like that for an entire season. And Tom Brady's older. He's living on plants. Now he's the plant man.
Getting divorced.
Oh wait, what?
Potentially. I mean, that's the.
Oh, is that in the rumor mill?
There have been rumors about that, but today there was a lot of posts about how there's some more going on there. But it could be total fabricated Instagram rumor spreading because people are bored. But today it was all over a bunch of different Patriot pages and stuff. Giselle was never happy. And she hated the mansion. A lot of good.
Sure, I mean that would definitely affect a man. That type of tumult. But
But if it is true, then we broke it here live on the Fantasy Football Show, right?
Yes,
with Mike Wright.
100%. Yeah, I mean we knew this was going to happen. Totally.
You heard it first. As of right now, Tom Brady's not getting divorced. It's rumors, people. Tom Brady's fine. Okay? He went on the Howard Stern show, was very open about problems him and Giselle have had, but he's fine.
I'm so fascinated to watch this breakdown because I've got the Patriots still winning their division. Everyone, not everyone, but the hot pick is the Buffalo Bills, where they are a surging team, but the Patriots defense is still going to be elite. I think whoever is the quarterback will be able to get enough done for the offense. I think that they're going to be great.
I like Stidham. I think he's got a shot.
Yeah, he 100% has a shot, and I think Tampa Bay has a great shot as well. Unfortunately, they have to deal with the Saints in that division. They have to deal they're surrounded by good teams. Can Brady really use the fuel of being it's not rejected from New England? I guess, although you can factor that in with that whole rumor mill that happened back when they traded Garoppolo, and it was reported that Belichick did not want to do that. He wanted to trade Brady. I don't, we can't confirm nor deny that information. But it's knowing how Bill Belichick runs things, when he thinks that a player is past what they can do at their peak for this team, he washes his hands and he sends you away. Yeah, he's a cold-blooded man.
I'm going to read off 2 names or scenarios, and you're going to give me the name or scenario you like better, and then a confidence level of how much you like it over that other scenario. So if I say Kenyan Drake versus Joe Mixon, and you say Drake, confidence level of liking Drake over Mixon would be 5. Something of that range, okay? Kenyan Drake and Joe Mixon.
Kenyan Drake, 9.
Nice. I like it. I'm in agreement there. Top 5 to 10 running back is in the cards. Cuff them to Edmonds no matter what, because I think that offense is half the battle there.
Well, I went back and looked, and if you take the starting running back for the Arizona Cardinals and you take the starting running back for every single game, which was difficult to do last year because we all got fooled a few times by the Cardinals, where all of a sudden it's Edmonds.
Yep.
Drake comes in. You think it's still going to be DJ, then it turns into Drake.
Yep.
But granted, if you knew who the starting running back was going to be every single week, they were the running back 3 on the season.
Yeah.
It was insane production. And this team is better. Yeah. This team just got an elite wide receiver. They're going to score way more.
Yeah. And if you want even some more bad math to just throw at that, last 3 games, Drake was on pace for like 37 TDs and 1,900 yards. So
we were in a celebrity league. The footballers had a team, and it was put on by the NFL. It's called NFL League One, and we were in the championship week. We had fought and clawed our way there, and championship week 16, we played against Saquon Barkley and Kenyan Drake. The number 1 and number 2 running back on the week. So we just got steamrolled.
I love that combo this year if you can pull it off. Drake I think, will go in the top 14 by August. I think Eckler will
Drake
as well.
Just wait until I get that hype machine going, my man. I'm going to get Drake in that first round.
I've got this bell. I've been ringing for it. So I think together we can get him. Let's get it. Our goal, I got him in enough leagues already. I don't mind. Our goal, let's get him in the top 5. Deal?
Sure.
Bow?
I'll do my best.
Okay. A-Rod, Josh Allen, redraft.
Man. Oh, gosh. I think I'll go Josh Allen 4.
Todd Gurley, Miles Sanders, redraft.
Miles Sanders 6.
Let's test your Todd Gurley love here. Todd Gurley, okay. Mark Ingram.
Ooh, going with Mark Ingram. That is a tough one. Just being in or out on Mark Ingram, where I mean he was an absolute. His points were touchdowns, but it's hard to bet against what they did last year of Lamar Jackson opening things up for Ingram.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. I will go Mark Ingram 2.
Okay, let's get to your line. Todd Gurley, Kareem Hunt. Redraft.
Todd Gurley.
Okay, we found it.
Yeah, and that would be pretty high. But I mean,
okay.
Kareem Hunt, obviously, if he's the starter because somebody had Nick Chubb, then I flip that immediately to full confidence. Kareem.
Full 10, full send.
Yes.
Odell Beckham Jr., Kenny Golladay, redraft.
I will go Kenny Golladay 8.
This could be. We'll make this dynasty.
Okay.
Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins stack. Oh no, Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk stack, or Lamar, Mark Andrews, Hollywood Brown stack.
Oh goodness. I will go Kyler Murray. I will take the Cardinals stack, and I'll put that at 4 to 6.
I agree with you. Okay, dynasty only. Amari Cooper, AJ Brown.
Oh, it's funny because if anyone listens to the show, they know that I take every opportunity to besmirch Amari Cooper that I possibly can. I will take. It's so tough with the offensive systems though to bet against Dak, and they just throw the ball. They actually throw the ball a ton. So I'll still be on Amari Cooper, even though that pains me to say that. I'll go Amari Cooper 7.
I love AJ Brown. I think he's on the brink of a top 5 to 10 wide receiver season. I think he's a legend in the making. One of my favorite players heading into 2020. Amari Cooper, I'm of the thinking, and this is not a popular take, but I think Gallup could rival him, potentially outscore him this year.
Absolutely could. Yes, that's like it's hard not to put Cooper in the top 10 of your rankings just based off of what he did last year. And I get it. I mean, half the year he really sucked, but he was injured. The problem with Amari Cooper though is half the season he's always great, and there's always an excuse for why he was bad for half of the season.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Michael Gallup. I can't remember the exact yardage total, but I think they were within 100 yards of each other, and Michael Gallup did it in like 14 games or something. Like Gallup is great.
Yeah, I think Gallup is going to outscore him. He'll find a way. And Amari Cooper, he's a vanishing act, and
yeah,
there are people that are absolutely on Amari Cooper 2020 the train. And they get so upset. I get nothing but bad comments whenever I talk about Gallup over Amari, but I don't think it's that crazy at all. I think Gallup's on the rise. Okay, I'll go through this last part real quickly for you. 1.01 rookie pick or Juju Smith-Schuster?
I'll take the rookie pick. Wow. I'll have the mighty have fallen, but the guys in this, the amount of talent in this rookie class combined with some like perfect landing destinations. I mean, the draft could come and certainly screw everything up. I'm not saying that the NFL draft can't do that, but I mean, Jonathan Taylor goes to the Buccaneers. Edwards-Helaire goes to Kansas City. I mean,
J.K. Dobbins to KC maybe.
Yeah, insert any of the Dobbins, Swift, any of those guys go to Kansas City with a top 2 pick. I mean, how do you not freak out for the possibilities?
Where do you want Jerry Jeudy going? Ideal fantasy scenario.
Man,
Giants.
Giants is pretty good.
I like
because
that.
I like what Daniel Jones. I like his tendencies as a quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Okay, 1.01 rookie pick or Mike Evans.
Evans. I'll stick with Evans.
Okay.
But no fewer than 1,000 yards ever. I mean, he's tied for the longest streak of 1,000+ yards at 6 years. I mean, him and Julio are tied at 6. Evans is just so consistent, such a monster.
Jerry Jeudy or Aaron Jones in Dynasty? Who would you rather have?
These are tough questions, man. I'll go Jerry Jeudy, even though that's going to look really bad in the short term.
Me too. I think you got to invest in that guy. A can't miss player, in my opinion. He's got the talent.
You got Jeudy over Lamb?
Yeah. I love both, though. I love both. A situation could change that, but I think Jerry Judy's going to be he's something special. I don't even know how to comp the guy. He's like, there's no one to comp him to, but I say like a smaller or like a Julio Jones, but in a different frame. And I don't know, how would you comp him?
Man,
he's hard to.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a little bit more like a Godwin type of player to me.
That's a good comp. Okay, last face-off question. Your internet connection goes down. You can make one phone call. You can't help them draft, but you got to tell them, draft for me. Jason Moore or Andy Holloway? Who do you call?
I'll go with Andy.
Okay.
Our styles are a little bit more similar than I am with Jason. And Jason's an excellent fantasy player. I want the team that I want, so I'll have Andy do it.
You guys remind me of the Patriots trio from the past. It's like Tom Brady. That's Andy. He's cool. He's cool, but he has to be serious too. You know, you're like the Julian Edelman. You know, look at the guitars in the background. Everyone wants to hang out with you of the three, right? I want to walk by Mike at the mall. You know, when you're walking, and then Jason's like Gronk. I mean, let's be honest.
I'm sure he'll take that.
Jason Gronkowski, come on. But yeah, you guys are amazing. Everybody loves you. Watching you guys climb into the iHeartRadio award scene, kind of take this open path that fantasy analysts or the regular Joe could never take because big networks controlled everything. It's been amazing to watch you guys just kind of open this path for everybody, and it's definitely been an inspiration. I've been doing this surprisingly long time, 16 years. I'm not sure if you've ever heard the Red Zone. I've been on there for 16 straight years on CBS Sports Radio here in Phoenix.
Sure.
Do you ever hear the Red Zone? Russ Bliss and myself.
It would be pretty rare when I hear it because we're up at the studio on the visual version of the Red Zone. Yeah, call in sometime. We'd love to have you on. But you let me know, man. You let me know. Yeah. Hey, I appreciate you coming on, and man, keep doing your thing, and we'll look for more virtual the Fantasy Footballer podcasts coming up here. Hey, man, I really appreciate it. Thank you. Top 5 running back. You're watching the Fantasy Football Show.